and welcome to Thinking is Free, proudly brought to you by Chinmaya Mission New Zealand.
Hari Om everyone, welcome back. My name's Akash and today we have Ishanji and Chinmay.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Caught Chinmay off guard a little bit.
Yes. You did. You're not ready for this topic?
Thought he was coming in to record one, but like, mate, we record
Here's
two.
another one. Stay there. No, it's all good.
So the earlier on in this week, I was talking to someone at work about yoga.
Yes.
And they're saying, I go to yoga, it really helps me and I feel peaceful and, reduces the stress. And then I was sitting there and I was thinking about this after. I was like, I don't know enough about it. So I thought I'd bring it to the table, but there's definitely more to yoga than just going to yoga class and doing the asanas and boom, happiness and bliss.
Yep.
That's
What makes you say that?
because we have, like, for me, the word karma yoga.
Yes.
And it's like, there's yoga on the end of that. And that's action yoga. What's,
Action yoga.
All these people in the Western world go yoga, yoga, yoga. But isn't there something before the yoga?
Yeah.
Yep. So I thought it'd be a good place to just come and talk about what actually is yoga? Where did it come from? What types of yoga are there? And, maybe we can learn something today.
Okay.
Before Ishanji tells us what the scriptures and what the teachings say, Chinmay, what do you think yoga is? What have you been told, or what do you know about yoga?
Yeah, definitely don't know much on this topic, so I'm, intrigued to know what Ishanji says for sure. But I guess straight off the top of my head, I think, the two different types, which one you could, I guess, I associate with meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next is like the physical asanas.
Yeah.
Where you twist your body in certain ways that is rather uncomfortable. So those are the only two.
Because before we're getting there, before I go on my runs and things, I like to warm the body up, and it's early in the morning, so I'll do the Surya Namaskars, that like wakes the body up and gets me warmed up and stretched, and I found when I do that, my body actually does really well and performs better on runs.
Yep.
That's
Interesting. Yeah.
my limited knowledge on this topic.
That's yoga for me.
So take it away, Ishanji.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll try and approach yoga from a more simplistic understanding, right from the word yoga. What does it really mean? So the word yoga comes from the root yuj, means to join, to unite.
Right.
So that which helps us unite or join is called yoga. And the idea is, in spirituality, we take on various spiritual practices in order to unite with the higher, the spirit or consciousness or God, call it whatever you like. And so what helps us unite with the higher principle or God or truth is termed as yoga. And therefore there can be so many different yogas. All that helps us join is yoga. Unfortunately, what we know of as yoga today is one aspect of a path called Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta means 8, Anga means limbs, and yoga means the path with 8 limbs. And out of those 8 limbs, one is called asana or posture.
Right.
So what we practice in yoga classes is different asanas. And that's just one aspect of this 8-limbed path to unite ourselves with the higher.
And there's even more.
And then there's even more varieties of yoga based on what your personality type is. So actually, even this yoga is not step 1.
Right.
It's
Okay.
step 3. What we know of yoga is step 3. Prior to asana, one has to follow yamas and niyamas, disciplined living. And I think we've discussed these before.
Yep.
Disciplines while interacting with the world outside, disciplines while not interacting with the world while I'm by myself as well. So disciplined living is a prerequisite for asanas to work. A lot of these asanas, they function well only if I'm living a particular lifestyle.
Right.
I cannot be, it's like exercise, right?
Yeah,
I cannot be going to the gym and eating junk all day.
that's right.
I need to have discipline in diet for all those exercises to
Because
really benefit me.
there's chemical release happening during all the asanas, right?
Every a form of exercise has
yeah.
some hormones being
Yeah.
released and some neurotransmitters being activated.
Mm-hmm.
So it does have a physiological response as well. To relax the body, to strengthen
Yeah.
it, to make it supple. It does not make your body big, but it does help you be agile and
What's the word? What are you trying to describe?
flexible.
Right.
Agile and flexible. Right? And to keep our joints lubricated, it's not so much about the physique, it's about the health.
Mm.
And that's what the focus of yoga is, of asanas is, right? And having the body in a good condition is a prerequisite to succeed in meditation, because if my body is not playing ball, I cannot sit down and meditate for long hours.
Yeah, you can't sit cross-legged.
Cannot.
Or you don't even have the strength in the back to
Yep.
hold yourself upright and your neck to hold your head up.
Yes. And because the posture of the body reflects the state of the mind, it becomes a tool to help change the state of the mind by controlling the body and breath.
One more time, the posture of the body reflects.
Or impacts the state of the mind.
Wow.
Have you guys noticed that, and I make this rule in class usually, not to have people take back rests.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
And you'll find the mind is a lot more alert when there's no backrest.
Yeah.
The moment we start leaning against something, the mind just relaxes and gives up.
That's right. Yeah. Even, yeah. I can see that as well, you know, like when we're feeling scared, fearful, the body hunches, you get tight, you know, but it's like
We curl up.
we curl up, we try to make ourselves very small, you know,
Yes.
but when we're feeling good, positive,
We open up. The posture's
you're
big.
radiating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So the state of the mind reflects in the body, and the state of the body impacts the mind as well. And so this asana is a physical tool to control that which is not so physical, which is less tangible, which is the mind.
Mm.
Right? And it's prepping the mind up for deeper plunges into meditation. And therefore, physical health is important. We cannot deny it. And spirituality integrates that and says, okay, with all these postures, with all these asanas, your body is going to be supple and agile and flexible, and it'll never demand attention, so that you can succeed in your later practices of spirituality, which is in Ashtanga Yoga, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Dharana means concentration. Dhyana is contemplation. So concentration, then contemplation leading to meditation, which is the final state, the goal of Ashtanga Yoga. And in meditation, the idea is I recognize who I truly am. I rediscover that inner happiness. So this asana part only plays a small role
Mm.
in the bigger journey. There's 7 other limbs to it, which we generally ignore.
7 other limbs of within
Ashtanga yoga. Yes.
What do you mean by that exactly? Sorry.
So the 8-step path is yama and then niyamas. So those are the disciplines to be followed when interacting with the world and when I'm by myself. Step 3 is asana, what we all are well aware of. Step 4 is pranayama. We have heard of that as well.
Breathing
Exercises.
Right.
Yep.
But that breathing exercise is also to control the mind. Step 5 is called pratyahara. Means ahara means what we eat, not just through a mouth, but whatever we take in. Pratyahara is to restrict or regulate what goes into the body, what goes into the mind. And because I'm able to regulate my intake through all my senses, I'm able to gain a greater control over my mind because I'm not putting anything unnecessary, unwanted into my mind.
Right.
Right? And then step 6 is dharana, 7 is dhyana, 8 is samadhi, the goal.
Right.
So these are the 8 limbs.
Yeah.
To succeed in the goal of yoga, joining oneself to the higher through samadhi, meditation.
Yeah, it almost seems like a really detailed layout of a really holistic living approach to the ultimate goal, basically.
Absolutely. So what spirituality wants to do is give us a very well laid out, holistic plan of how to live life. Right? And out of that, we feel, oh, I like that part where my body remains supple and agile and healthy, and I will do that.
Pick and
that's
choose.
yoga.
Yeah.
It helps us, no doubt. While we do yoga, we do experience peace and harmony because through those physical exercises, the mind does get regulated.
Yeah.
If a person is doing yoga regularly, under the guidance of a good teacher, there'll be emphasis on being in the present moment, to calm the mind down, to focus on breathing, to slow the mind down and be alert to the very present moment. And so because the emphasis is on the mind in tandem with the body, not that there's no emphasis on the body, but the state of the mind has to be included and paid special attention to. In fact, you'll find that in the higher asanas as well, you need a much greater control over your mind to succeed in those absolutely awful poses which seem impossible, are made possible because my mind is so laser focused. One breath out of control and you collapse.
Yeah.
Right.
Control over the body, the muscles.
Yeah.
The energy.
Yes.
Just on the topic of, I guess, like, say your body's not capable. You haven't trained your body to be capable of sitting in a position comfortably. Like it's your mind's constantly agitated with the fact that you've sat cross-legged, or that you sat for like 1 hour in that position, or you don't have a backrest. Should you still be in a position like where you're, I don't know, let's say you're in a lecture or class situation? Do you think it's good to be in that position where your mind is agitated because of your physical discomfort, but at the same time you're trying to absorb information? What can you do in that stage, for example?
So the mind's not going to absorb information if it's agitated.
Correct.
Nor is the mind going to absorb information, it is at rest. It's not alert. So I have to somehow find a middle path. And the idea is with practice, we achieve whatever we want. Everything is a matter of practice.
I was just going to say,
I remember the days when I could not sit cross-legged.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of practice. And you try different things, see what works best with you. Sometimes it's really, really hard. And sometimes we may have physical disabilities which stop us from sitting in a particular posture, fine, it's okay. It's not compulsory, but what we need is an alert mind. We need to do our bit to keep the mind alert. Now, if sitting on a chair with a backrest helps you keep an alert mind, do it. It's fine. There is a traditional way of doing it, which is tried and tested. And there is what we consider to be convenience. There is a compromise on quality because with backrest and support, the mind does lose its alertness. And I'm giving my body so many more supports. But sometimes it's needed, and you start wherever you can.
Right.
We're not saying until you sit without any support, cross-legged for hours, you can't you can't study or you can't meditate. No,
Right.
we're not saying that.
But the idea is to
Idea is to be less and less reliant on things for your meditation practices.
And I guess, like what Ishanji is saying, is just practice before coming class.
Yeah.
right. Sit in that position for maybe half an hour.
There's time during the week
So your legs already
to practice, to train the body, to exercise, to
Yes.
strengthen.
Yeah.
So that, when it comes to...
And a lot of the postures in yoga are sitting cross-legged.
Yes.
Right? They force you to. And so the asanas in yoga itself are geared towards making you sit in those or take those postures which are rather uncomfortable, and to become comfortable in those postures.
You got to practice.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore. Used to attend Swaminiji's yoga classes, asanas. And she used to get us into this downward facing dog. God, it's my it's kryptonite for me.
I don't think I've seen that.
Downward facing dog. Isn't that where your legs are tucked down and then
Yeah, it's like a mountain sort of posture with your...
your heels are flat on the ground.
The heels are flat on the ground.
and then you're going up
and then out. Yeah.
No, I'll have to see this one, but anyway.
And she used to make us hold the pose for a long period of time. And she would say, you are succeeding in yoga when you feel downward facing dog is a resting pose.
Wow.
That's never going to happen. But after a few months, like after 6-8 months, you actually feel, yes, this is something that I'm beginning to enjoy and I feel rested.
Yeah.
So it's just practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We may complain that I can't do it, I can't do this. Can I settle for something simpler? Yes, okay. To begin with, but don't stop there. Continue on the traditional path laid down. It is done for a very good reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, I have to admit that the yoga pose I like is the one where you're on your legs and your feet are, I think it's like child's pose or something, where your feet on the floor, your knees are
Where you
there,
kinda
and you're sitting on
tucked
your
into
sitting on your heels, and then you just bend over, and your head touches the ground. You're like,
Or what about Savasana?
Shavasana, yes. Right?
The ultimate.
The ultimate. And I remember very vividly that the first few times I tried Shavasana, and it was literally just for 2 minutes.
What is this pose?
Is it?
You just
ultimate,
lie down.
You just lie down, yeah.
And
On your
pretend
back,
to be a
like-
corpse.
Oh, I'd fall asleep.
Sleeping
Right?
pose, yeah,
I'd fall
literally,
asleep.
yeah.
I have fallen asleep and I've snored. And I get up saying, oh, it was such a nice... Swaminiji is like, you were snoring. And this is a while ago, not anymore. But yes, the moment the body goes into a resting position, the only thing the mind knows what to do is to go to sleep.
Yeah.
To hold the mind alert even while the body is resting is the goal of that pose.
Yeah.
Right.
Not to let the mind sleep.
Yep.
But to rest the body, rest the mind. Not let it sleep, remain alert.
And
So actually, yoga is about working on the mind rather than working on the body.
That ties in with what you said about the backrest while sitting in class.
Yeah.
It would going to that extreme would definitely put you in a sleep state rather than an alert state. So
Yeah. And there are many people, we take meditation sessions as well. The moment there's a backrest, the mind relaxes
Mm.
and is more likely to fall asleep. Not that people don't fall asleep without any backrest, they still do. But the jerk of the head rolling or losing balance wakes them up immediately. Right? Whereas
Yeah.
there are people who ask me, "Oh, can I meditate sleeping?" No, please don't. Right? It's not you can meditate while resting, while being flat on the ground as well, but that's not the recommended starting point.
I remember being at a global chick camp when I was over in India, and they got us to do the meditation. And
Yes.
at one point, it's like lie down and do the meditation and think. And I don't know, like within 5 minutes, I was asleep.
I kind of like this. Not
Yeah.
meditation.
It is hard.
It is hard
very
because
tricky. Yeah.
we are used to having our mind preoccupied at all times.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the moment we don't give it anything to do, it shuts down, goes to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We give it enough support and rest as in a relaxing environment, it goes off to sleep. And all of that is non-conducive to gaining knowledge.
Mm.
To pursue spiritual practices, especially the subtler ones where it is all about working with the mind alone.
Mm.
And so coming back to the idea of yoga are practices which help us unite with the higher. And so Ashtanga yoga is one.
Yeah, I was going to say, just before we wrap up, if you want to just elaborate on
Yep.
what other types of yoga there are.
Right. There's numerous yogas, right?
Yeah. Or just even the common
The
ones.
common ones, yes.
Yeah.
So there's something called bhakti yoga
Mm-hmm.
where the emphasis is on using the love a individual has. So those people who are driven or are predominantly working with their emotions, they have a lot
Right.
to give.
Yep.
In terms of love. It is said, use your love and dedicate it to the higher, turn it towards the higher, and that will unite you with the higher. So love directed towards the higher is called bhakti yoga. Similarly, you can have your actions dedicated to the higher,
Mm,
and that becomes karma yoga.
right.
You can have your critical faculty of thinking, intelligence, directed towards the higher, and that becomes jnana yoga. And then there is Raja Yoga, which is a lot to do with meditation. There is Hatha Yoga, which is more about Hatha means, how does Hatha translate into English? By sheer force,
Right.
right? So those people who are neither of head nor heart, for them, it is said, your body, gain absolute mastery over your body through brute force, right? And thereafter, once you use the body to control the mind, then redirect it towards the higher.
What do you mean by force? Like,
As in, it's sheer torture. You don't torture yourself, but the practices are so
like
rigorous.
sitting in an ice bath.
Yes.
Ish.
Going from 15K
yeah,
run.
Yeah. They're really rigorous practices
Right.
which put a lot of stress
Strain on the body.
on the body.
Yeah.
But that's what a person is able to work with because they just identify with the body so much. Anything subtler, it just doesn't resonate with them.
Oh, interesting.
And so that's been said, only like doing it though with the the pursuit or the intent directed towards the higher.
Towards the higher. The
Yeah.
goal is still to unite with the
Yeah,
higher. It's not
yeah.
just having brute control over
That's
the
right.
body.
As someone just going, oh, I'm just going to exercise.
Yeah, no,
You know,
no.
that's not the right thing.
Yes.
Mm.
Right? So there's so many different paths.
Well,
You can, any practice which helps you take you to the higher is yoga. So even japa is a yoga,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Dhyana yoga, meditation is also a practice. There can be so many practices as long as the goal is to unite with the higher. If that intent is not there, it is not yoga. Right? Then your asanas
yeah.
are just
I think
physical exercises.
that's the biggest learning, right?
And all your chanting of your bhajans is just
Same
emotionalism,
things,
right?
yeah.
Because the emotions are not actually being redirected towards the higher. They're just there, right? You're doing a particular act of singing. It's not bhakti yoga. Jnana yoga is thinking critically, using your intellect and directing it towards the higher. If the higher is not my goal, it's just intellectual gymnastics. Karma yoga, if not desiring to unite with the higher, is just action. Right? It's not the yoga of action anymore.
Just by the higher, you mean in whatever yoga you do, striving towards your higher self?
Yes, this higher self is also a technical term in spirituality, what we refer to in the language of devotion as God, in the language of philosophy as the truth,
Mm.
the self, consciousness, that eternal reality is what we call as the higher.
Right.
I think we just found our rule 2. You know how we have rule 1 of
Yes.
spirituality is,
Happiness is within.
I think rule 2 is to live a life, to remember to live a life based on
Having that as the goal.
on yoga, right?
Yeah. So
Anything we do is like anything we do,
Or
is
striving towards
through
the higher
yoga
self.
is to
or-
join towards the higher self.
absolutely.
Mm.
And that is the idea, to have your entire day turn into sadhana, into a spiritual practice, because at every moment, the goal is very clear in my mind that happiness is within, or that truth is within, or God is within. And that's what I want to realize. So yes, rule 1 is happiness is within, or God is within. And rule 2 is that is what I want. And then I'll be working towards yoga, or else I'm just doing things, various things, whether it's singing or thinking or acting.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you, Ishanji.
That was
Thank
good.
you, Chinmay. I think there's plenty to take away from this conversation, and also just to see, how things are portrayed in the Western world, where like when you inquire into it, it's very deep and very thought out,
Yeah.
and there's so many, like we said, so many practices. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are authentic teachers out there who emphasize on disciplined living, eating clean, drinking clean, interacting cleanly with the world outside for you to succeed even in the asanas. But how many are there? I don't know.
That's right.
Mm.
Right.
I
Thank
think
you.
That's us for today. Thank you, Shanji. Thank you, Chinmay.
Hari
you.
Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Thinking is Free, proudly brought to you by Chinmaya Mission New Zealand. For more information on events, courses, seva projects and study groups, please visit chinmaya.org.nz. Hari Om.